I wanted to talk a bit about the Healthcare Workers Foundation, what that does and what
Yeah.
that entails, and how you're involved with that.
So one of my good friends from university actually set up the Healthcare Workers Foundation, and it was set up during the pandemic. So it was set up by doctors for doctors, and it's basically there to support people who've been working through a pandemic. It gives them counselling, access to PPE, where at the beginning we didn't always have the best PPE. And also they now do a bereavement fund for people who have sadly lost their lives during COVID. I think there's been over 800 healthcare workers who have died.
Wow.
So this foundation actually gives grants and bursaries to families who are struggling because they've lost a loved one during the pandemic, and kind of helps them with bills, with counselling, with support in terms of housing, or even sort of helping with university fees as well. So it really is an amazing foundation that all the money that they've raised goes straight back into helping other people who've been affected by the pandemic, because as doctors and healthcare professionals, we don't always have the best access to sort of well-being services or support. So this foundation was one that they asked me to be part of, and I was like, absolutely, I'm really passionate about, because it's so important that we look after our healthcare professionals, because without them, during the pandemic, where would we be really at this point? So the Healthcare Workers Foundation do an amazing job to help and support lots of people.
Yeah, I think so too. And that kind of reminds me about how, as a healthcare worker, you give so much,
Yeah.
but sometimes doctors and dentists and all healthcare workers are not really good at looking after themselves. But if you give so much, sometimes you're drained, and then how do you recharge, and how do people look after you? Because if you can do that, then you can give so much more, and it's kind of a balance between giving everything and then looking after yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, as you say, you can't sort of pour from an empty glass, so it's about looking after yourself as a healthcare worker.
Definitely.
And I think we're not always the best at reaching out for help.
Yes.
So actually this foundation goes a long way, because it helps to try and identify people who need help and support out there.
So how do you raise money, and how could people donate if they wanted to, help with this?
So we have lots of different charity events. There's a Facebook, Instagram and Twitter page for Healthcare Workers Foundation. So you can take a look at that. There's lots of contact information on there. And also on the website, there's a link to donate. So if you want to donate, that's great. Thank you very much. So you can donate that way. Or you can make contact with the admin team there as well.
Even better than clapping at 8 p.m. during the pandemic.
The clapping was great, and I think it did offer a lot of support whilst it was there, so it was great.
Yeah, it shows that people care and people really want to do something. But these are also other ways, like helping with the fundraising and things like that, that go a long way as well.